So, what's up, guys? This is Bandless. Maybe. And it didn't fucking... Hold on. Hold on a second.
Yeah. Bring it
Good.
in.
God damn it. Here we go.
All right.
Well, we'll smooth it out, but that was pretty fun.
Aw, shucks.
That was fun.
That was inevitable, right?
Yeah. Amazing.
We're back. We're live.
We're live. And there are 3 squares on the screen. It's wild. It's very wild.
Oh, I don't even have my doc up yet. Insane.
And you don't have it up yet. Hello, gents. How are you all?
Good. How are you guys?
Very good. Very good.
Stephen, welcome to the show.
Stephen Barton. We're going to get into that in a second. For those of you who are new to the show, which is probably no one at this point, but this is Bandless, and Bandless is a weekly live podcast for solo music creatives. And every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, Nick Hill and myself, and sometimes a guest, as today, we dig into the challenges of the solo music creator. This series attempts to highlight the tools, tactics, and tips that might be illuminating in the path forward. Nick, you want to bring in our wonderful guest here today?
Yes, as many of you can see, the big, beautiful gentleman next to us. Today, joining us is our friend Stephen Barton. He is a creator, fellow creator, on YouTube, behind the channel Gear Stuff and Things, as well as a vocalist guitarist in the sludge-doom band Close the Hatch. Links are down in the description, of course. So check out Stephen, his band, his channel. Now,
I'm going to drop the links down there if anyone's interested in checking that out.
Thanks for having me.
Stephen, how is life? I know that you're in Canada right now.
I'm good.
You're feeling healthy and enthusiastic.
Pretty good.
And for those folks who don't know about Stephen, about Mr. Barton and his channel and his band, do you want to kind of give us a little bit of backstory on it? Like what is your channel? What is Gear Stuff and Things? Briefly what it's about and what is going on with your music life, and if there's anything current that's like just came out or coming out or whatever.
Okay. Well, the YouTube channel here is basically just guitar stuff, gear, things, as it would explain in the name. But yeah, I'm doing similar things to what you fellas are doing, just kind of my own take on it.
Yeah.
I would say we're pretty much on the same page
Very
for the most part.
Lots of baritone content,
Yep.
which I enjoy a great deal.
Yeah, I've gone away from it lately just because I built a new guitar, so I've not been playing my baritone much. But
Right.
I did a video today that won't be up for a while with a bass 6 and drop D just because I could.
Yeah, may as
So-
well.
It's the hot thing to do. Keep it
Yeah,
hot.
jumping on the bandwagon while it's hot.
Baritones are all the rage, bro.
Baritones are all the rage.
No, when Statement of the Ray got
and-
involved, I knew they were popular.
They're popping.
I certainly can't find any baritone necks right now.
Is it dried up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
cleared out. Warmouth
Oh.
is completely backed up. You have to do
Wow.
custom orders, so you're looking at a good 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
A little while. That's wild. Whatchamacallit, Close the Hatch. You guitar player and vocalist, and I believe probably the lyric writer of Close the Hatch, which is a sort of, a hybrid of sludge, doom, desert rock, etc. Many of the slower and lower kind of varieties of music. What is going on with Close the Hatch?
Well, since July of this past year, I've been demoing stuff to record another record. And we just started putting all the well, we just finished pre-production, so we went back through and edited all my demos. Start out as solo things, much like what you guys are doing, and they're pretty much fully fledged ideas by the time they get to the band setting. Play them in the room, and then whatever changes are made in the room, because we're fortunate enough to rehearse in a studio.
Mhm.
We literally just walk back into the control room and then make the changes on my files that I have.
Amazing.
So
That's great.
the demo, whatever demo arrangements match what we're doing in the room. And then in this instance, it's kind of worked a mixture that way, but myself and Sean, the other guitar player, have been just going back through my demos, and I've been letting him arrange them. And if there's like drum fills or guitar parts that he wants to add, or he wants to change something, I'm just letting him do it. And since I've only gotten vocal ideas for a handful of the songs, so at this point they're pretty blank in that world, so I'm just going to adapt to what he does.
Right. And I suppose if something desperately needs to change to accommodate vocals, it's a non-issue, right?
Right. Yeah, we tend to put as much stuff as we can in the idea column, and then even record it, but be prepared to get rid of it.
Amazing. Yeah. So you have a very healthy, a healthy rapport, a healthy system with your current bandmates. And something I kind of want to highlight is, even though, so you have a band situation and you are, I guess, the dominant writer in the project. It's not about being the dominant person. It's not about being the king. It just so happens like this is the way that this, all these relationships happen. It's all very healthy and good, and everybody's like supportive and works together on the project, correct?
For sure. I think with any band I've ever been a part of, at least one or two people take on that role by default. Right. And then there's people that are just there, and then there's other people that, depending on their willingness to participate, end up with other tasks that maybe aren't necessarily musical.
Right.
For
so
this one, we all have our own little thing.
Y'all have, sorry?
We all have our own kind of tasks that we handle.
Right.
And, it's usually, I usually end up making most of the plans and then saying, hey, does this work? Or can one of you tackle this if I can't?
Right. I've definitely found throughout history of working in groups of any sort that having a certain amount of ownership and leadership definitely helps, whether it's myself or if I'm, working with another person. Like my last band I was in, I kind of told the main writer, I'm like, this is your project. It was Artie Vosco. You guys got to meet. He lives in London, by the way.
Nice.
Artie's great.
He moved back recently. But, in that project, it was called Horse Lover. And I was like, you have to kind of, just, I'll do all the work. I'll do as much work as is necessary, but this needs leadership within the aesthetics and kind of values of the principal writer, which is you. So we, as a group, we all kind of accepted and appointed that, it's like, yeah, Artie's the guy, but we'll all take ownership of our roles within the thing. So, but that leadership was really important. In every band that I've ever been in that has been successful to any degree, there's always been, as you say, like a clear leadership, whether it be one person or a duo of people. It's usually one or two.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Every band I've ever been in has been that way.
Yeah, I will agree. Nick, your live band experience is a little bit more limited, but would you say you definitely have had a few things that were knocking balls out of the park? Would you say those projects were kind of arranged in that way?
Yeah, I jumped into a band. It was a hardcore band, post-hardcore band. And there were two guitar players that were riff writers. So I came in as a bass player, basically just tried to like keep up at first, but it became evident one of the guitar players was on his way out, and I've been playing guitar and writing riffs as long as I've been playing guitar and writing riffs, you know, like since I started writing or playing, I was writing. So I kind of jumped in to that role and started contributing, but it was not my thing. You know, I definitely was a support, you know, a supporting character of it. So, no, yeah, my experience is a little, you know, I don't want to say it's negative because it wasn't. It was interesting.
A little shaky.
Yeah, it was a bunch of young dudes, and then me as a dad. I was a little bit older than some of them, and yeah, it was you know, everybody kind of had their role. Everybody kind of had their thing that they did. I did contribute songwriting, but you know, it didn't go very far. That's the thing.
Right.
Like we were getting some heat in the area, and then it kind of fell apart. And you know, we'll dig into probably why in some of the topics for sure.
Right. It's a perfect segue for what we're going to get into today. Stephen was the sort of inspiration of today's topic because it's an important, you know, he's been in a lot of bands. I've been in quite a few bands, actually a lot of bands, probably like 40 bands I've had at least.
Jesus.
Yeah. So like when I put a list together about 3 years ago, I was like, whoa, that's a lot of bands.
Yeah.
But, and I've worked for bands professionally, like major label signed bands, and my family is all part of like gigantic major label artists. So I have like a little bit of I don't know, some eyes on some of that stuff. Doesn't mean I know anything special about it, but definitely it's a topic that's always coming in, the relationships of the units. And that's essentially what we're talking about today. Before we get into the topic, before I break it wide open and hand it back to Stephen, I would like to just take a second here
We
to
get fancy on this episode.
get fancy. And I would like to thank everyone with us over at Patreon. And those folks are the Cosman, Renato, Ben Drakeford, Tanner Ruffriffs, Borglum, Baritone Cult, Barry Prosser, Kevin O'Brien, and Anthony Nieto. Thank you very much to you folks for kicking in and making all of this work better, work more. For those of you who are interested in helping the channel out in some way, you know, you can do that via Patreon. Where is my link here? Damn it. But there's a link in the chat if you're interested in doing such a thing. So I would, you know, we would be over the moon if you were to help out. However, don't feel the pressure to do so. We're going to do this no matter what, but their help is highly appreciated. Going to bring it back here one more time. I wonder, can we just do it like this? No, we can't.
What's
bam. That? So, bam. No, main camera. Point one.
We're going
Those
to
are
get
the points.
this.
I'm going to get it. It's going to be
We're
great.
gonna get it.
So, Nick Hill,
Yeah.
can you take us into today's topic?
I certainly can, Bunward. So, today we're talking about bands and being in a band. So, the topic we're diving into is basically if you are stuck in a band of, and this is not one particular group of people, of a band of self-destructive people or aimless folks, maybe some underachievers. How do you know it, and what can you do about it? This is very important stuff. In a lot of cases, if we don't make sure that I am okay first, not only will I certainly not reach any goals, but also I won't be able to do anything great for anyone else. So if we're going to work with a team, we need to choose carefully and with discretion. Oh, and discern. Sorry, I didn't proofread this. Sorry, Bunn. I didn't practice. Stephen is going to be our voice of reason on all things because of his significant experience with bands, labels, endorsements, and touring. That's why we brought Stephen in. for his experience, but clearly Bunn, having been in 718 bands over the course of 88 years. Yeah,
So,
I'm going to learn a
Cool.
lot from you guys because
oh,
I'm
you're
a
going to
baby.
weigh in on this, Nick Hill. Let me
for
tell
sure. I'm just a baby infant when it comes to playing in a group of people, and the live part wasn't the problem. That's for sure, because I was a murderer live.
You.
Trust me.
Destroyer.
Trust me.
Yeah. Speaking of murdering, got to
Your
murder your
thirst.
thirst. Anyhow, I'm going to take us in here, Stephen. We're going to talk about this here. The very first point of this topic is, you're in a band situation that is, maybe bad news in some way, as Nick has outlined. A problem that many of us have when we find ourselves in these kinds of situations is maybe going through the is it me or is it them kind of scenario, just being uncertain and, not wanting to make unnecessary decisions, like, or not unnecessary, but, uncalculated decisions that are stupid. You want to make informed decisions. If it's me, I can fix it. If it's them, then I need to be clear on that and, move into a better situation that my interests are taken care of as a creative, as an artist, as my personal life, my mental health, all that stuff. So, Stephen, you found yourself in this situation in the past. Many people in bands have, where you're like, it's clearly not me. It's the people that I'm working with, and it's not a good fit. Have you ever had a situation where you haven't been clear, or you've had to get clear on that? And do you have any perspectives on either side of that fence?
Yeah, I have perspectives on both. I'll get into the part of it where I was the problem after we cover other people being the problem, because that's just the way I want to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've been in bands with folks that have chemical dependencies. I've been in bands with folks that just aren't responsible with money or time, or have no genuine understanding that other people's time is equally valuable, without being mean about it. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. I mean, I look at it kind of, if someone gives me $100 to do a task, I should give them $100 worth of effort.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in bands, and I'm not saying I'm paying anyone, because certainly I'm not, but if the effort is not reciprocated with equal effort, or at least some contribution, then that becomes very frustrating for me personally. And it's hard for me to separate that part of me that's upset from the part of them that just wants to hang out and be buddies with these guys I enjoy playing music with. So as the principal leader of a group, typically, it always becomes a situation for me where it's like, I enjoy being with these people regardless of the bullshit aside. All of that stuff is obvious, but do I want to pick a battle that may lead to lengthy other battles, or like buried resentment because I've even brought something up, passive or not? So yeah, I mean, for that side of things, without question, I've endless stories of that. Most common, though, honestly, was just dealing with people with dependency issues and just kind of having to babysit adults. And whereas other things, they're great musicians, they are responsible people as far as contributions to the band and to our friendships, but they are also a detriment to all those things based upon their addictions and habits. And that's not to say that I'm better than them, because I have vices of my own and have in the past definitely been guilty of doing things that were probably detrimental to situations I was in my life. Not necessarily bands, because this is where it becomes my fault, so we'll just put that out there. I have a tendency to make creative endeavors so much of a primary of my decision making. Even, you know, I'm much better about it now because I'm old as shit. But the the other part of it is when I was younger, when I was like, you know, 25 to 30, if I was in a relationship with someone and an opportunity came up to tour or go do a show that's 3 hours away that's going to pay me nothing, I would sooner upset my significant other and go do the show that's going to give me nothing other than just the satisfaction that I did what I wanted to do. And then later on have to deal with the repercussions of my own actions. So there's that side of it. And then I'm in the past, particularly the band I was in before Close the Hatch, most of the failure associated with that band, aside from certain members coming and going, was purely self-sabotage on my part. And it didn't seem like it at the time, but as I look at it now, it's like, oh, someone offered me a thing and I said no to it, to be like, fuck you, I don't need this. But it was me being afraid of taking a risk that might bite me in the ass. But ultimately, I was biting myself in the ass by not at least taking the risk. If I'm going to fuck myself, I may as well make the effort to do it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Sorry, that went on a while. I apologize.
No, that's insight. It's good.
No.
Oh,
Nick, do you have any anything that you would like to prod Stephen with in any of that?
No, it's funny because we've all heard this time and time again. A band is a relationship, and it's very much like a relationship. As I got older and look back on my band that wasn't my band, but the band I left, a couple things come to mind. I regret leaving because I didn't want to confront things, and I was a chicken shit about, being honest with the guys about, creative stuff. And, with perspective and years and like a functional relationship with another person under my belt, it's like, I look back and think like, if I would have just been open about shit, it probably might have still been going, So the point I'm trying to make is, like Stephen was kind of referring to, it's like, you get in a group with people and you pretty much know pretty quickly like whether or not you want to be around them in some sort of capacity. And I need to preface everything I say about the band I was in. I loved being around the guys. We had a good time. There were some egos, of course, but like we had a blast and it was fun and we killed live. And it's, I guess, Stephen kind of hinted at it, like the older you get and you get a little knowledge under your belt and you're like, you can figure stuff out a little bit easier. And yeah, I don't know. I guess, I just kind of was like, I like hearing Stephen's perspective because I've only kind of been on the one side of it and I was younger, and I was a kind of a pretty early papa, I had my kids were young. And it's funny, and and Stephen said like I would choose, I would rather choose to go to a show than, and piss off my significant other. Like I think that's why Stephen and I have gravitated towards each other too, is because we do put our creative stuff very high on our priority lists, but we also have responsibilities. So this is like this mutual kind of understanding that we haven't even really had to talk about, but like I remember when my kids were little and like I bought a bunch of gear, bass gear, like, and we were a fresh new family. And looking back on it, man, it's like, this is probably a whole nother episode and it's going to go off the rails a little bit, but like I put so much effort and money into the band and not as much into my relationship with my kid's mom, that it probably had something to do with our unhinging at some point. But yeah, I'm derailing myself thinking about all of this. I just remember being young and being in the band and not talking about stuff and dealing with egos and like at the time putting the blame on everybody else And now, in hindsight, I probably just, was a chicken shit.
Yeah.
It's
Not,
the truth.
yeah. Just not being sure of like, that whole is it me or is it them kind of thing. Like you're always going to speculate in a specific direction, but a lot of times you're not exactly sure. And you don't want to piss people off for no good reason. You want to be kind of certain. I don't know, like leaving a band is really tough because you're like, oh, but things are happening, and what if
I was a
something
dick,
happens
man.
and I left?
I left when we were in the studio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Like I hate,
that's a dick move.
I hate the way it happened,
Right.
and that's why I was maybe subconsciously I was maybe avoiding this document because I knew it was going to bring up a lot of like
Right.
when we started talking about it, like the I back then was me. Like I didn't put enough effort in regards to like communication or like let's get on the same page as far as like what our expectations are, because I am like go hard. If we're going to do this, we're going to go hard, and I took it seriously. I dropped a bunch of money right when I joined the band. It was like not even a question. And then when I felt like I wasn't having a fair amount of input creatively, that's when I'm like, wah, I'm going to run away,
Right. That's
yeah,
why we're having this conversation. This is gold.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I'm not good at everything.
No, you shouldn't be. None of us should be.
I am good at recognizing like my faults, that's for sure. So you'll hear me, and a lot of people always take it as like I'm being hard on myself, but it's not that.
No.
It's just like a recognition of my shortcomings, and I've had to do that because I don't want to be that person,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, is it me or is it them? And how can I tell? Yeah. So perspectives on being able to tell. Would you guys say it's just it's something about, it's just time, going through a bunch of stuff and eventually you kind of get more sensitive, more hip to that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think you also, I don't just musicians and artists are inherently kind of selfish would be the word that I want to use, but I'm sure that that's probably not appropriate. They're just a little bit in themselves, and it's not necessarily a pejorative. It's just that's just who creative people are. They're in their own heads. They're working their own shit out to try to make whatever it is that makes them happy, or at least makes them feel content with what they're doing. I won't say happy because musicians and creatives are typically never completely content or happy.
Right.
But that we're laughing, so clearly you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it's a, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's a balance, right? You have to kind of, as time goes on, you start to understand your faults because you see, well, if you don't, and this is not this, I know we've said this before in other streams, like if you enter a room and every room you enter, you think everyone there is an asshole. Eventually,
It's a common denominator.
you are the asshole because you're the only person who's always in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Everyone else is a different group of people. It's you coming in the room being like, these assholes. No, dude, it's you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's a, very simplified way to put it, but that is how you should figure out the things you're doing that are, detrimental to anything you're a part of, whether that's a relationship, family, band. A band is a relationship with multiple people. It's honestly a little more difficult than a one-on-one relationship.
Agreed.
Because everyone is so so in their own world, and particularly when you're dealing with, now you're in three to I don't know, hell, if you're in Slipknot, you got 8 other dudes you hate, but like it's, you know what I'm saying? Like everyone has their own perspective of what this thing should be, and yeah, there's a few people steering the ship typically, but you still have to rein in all of that to work as a unit. And that becomes tricky because everyone's perspective, they either have to fully trust that the person steering the ship is the person who should be, or kind of have like have to worry that there's somebody in the band that isn't saying the thing that needs to be said, whether that's to you who's running the thing or to someone else who's, you know, showing up late or something. I don't know. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah, totally.
100% too.
It would probably be interesting to ask this question to like 25-year-old Stephen and 25-year-old Nick and 25-year-old Bunn versus now where we can be like so reflective and realize like, I think now if we're in a situation, it'll be days that it'll take days to realize like where the problems are, where before, you know, it's like, I don't know, time moves so slowly or something. It just took you forever to like open your eyes up to shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't realize something is going poorly until you've gotten away from it and are doing something that's going well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that was never going well. It was never good. The things that were okay with it were the things I was hanging on to, and I was choosing to ignore this other, you know, portion of it because I didn't want to see, you know, the thing that was actually in front of me, which is I'm unhappy here. And that works with relationships too.
Yep.
But like,
relate to that all too well.
Yeah, you can be unhappy and not address that. And, you know, eventually it ends in flames to some regard, you know, in some version of that. And then later on, you're like, oh, fuck, you know, had I just said what needed to be said from, you know, 10 days in versus years into it.
Could have saved the whole thing.
Yeah. I could have trusted my instincts and walked away at the right time versus having to set everything ablaze, you know?
Yeah, it's like also a level of comfort and complacency you fall into, you know?
Absolutely.
Would you say that, this is for both of you guys, that there is often confusion between that which is difficult and that which is bad? Because a lot of things about being an artist and being in a band and going for it, even if it's not a band, let's say it's solo, it doesn't matter. A lot of things about going for it are really difficult. And sometimes I think they're confused for being bad. Can either of you speak to that with any kind of resolution or detail?
I mean, I can. Nick, you got
Go
anything?
for it.
Okay.
I'm trying to wrap my head around what I'm going to say.
Well, I think, you know, I don't know, some people, you know, I don't know, let's just break it down to touring. Some people don't like planning. They don't like scheduling. They don't like having to be at a certain place at a certain time. They don't like having to dedicate, you know, certain aspects of their time away from things at home. This is just a theoretical example, but, you know, you have to kind of give in some regard in order to get something out. I don't know. I'm not at a point where I think I'm past looking at the difficulties of it as being, you know, negative so much as just a part of it. And it also is kind of like once you get over the hurdle of something that's negative or difficult, then there's going to be something else. So it's not really, at least for me, I get to the point where like, yeah, these things are frustrating, but it's also not worth it for me to put so much focus and energy on this one thing that's not going well when everything else is moving along at a decent pace. In the same way, I guess if you're working on a bunch of songs and you're stuck on one, that can be a problem per se and be frustrating. But if you have other songs that you can go to get something done on, then you may lose time on the one you're stuck on, but it also might give you the opportunity to come back to the situation with fresh eyes and ears because you've moved on. That really was an answer to your question, and I'm sorry.
No,
it really was.
I have a bunch of
it was really good
shit bouncing around in my head too, but I don't know that it even really speaks to you know what you're talking about, Bunn. It's like I think when you say
just
things that are
hard is not bad, but sometimes it is.
Yeah, it's like
and there's a confusion between what is difficult and what is hard, or what is difficult and what is bad sometimes.
Yeah. And I kind of see it as like when things get tough, or like when you have to get organized for a tour, like Steve was saying, or for you and I and Steven right now about coming up with video ideas, or social media content, and this show we're putting together on top of everything else we're doing, like that is difficult because it takes like effort and organization and work. And I guess when you when you're up against things that need to get done, that's when you kind of see people and your bandmates for who they are. And I think that's when it's immediately starts to become evident like what's going on. And I think maybe that played into some of like when I was in the band I was in, like that definitely became evident. There was the idea of wanting to be this thing, being a band, play shows that were full of people that we made some money on, and we'd get signed to whatever label and it would be great, versus everything you have to do in between those two things, which is difficult stuff, but not necessarily hard. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the way I am interpreting that.
I mean, kind of the point you're making, it made me think of, I think from the outside of it, if you're someone who's in the middle of it, being in a band is really not that exciting. The shows are exciting. The hang is exciting. Everything else kind of sucks. Just being real about it. Everything else is a pain in the ass. Dealing with money, keeping track of other human beings,
bouncing ideas off of each other.
Yeah. Venues, sleeping in shitty places. Like it's not the greatest, but it's the show and the hang, and then getting to do that thing that you enjoy doing so much that makes all that other shit. It basically makes Scott's point is that those things that are a problem and difficult become less of one because there's a reward.
Yeah.
But I also think that from the outside perspective, if you're someone who doesn't do that, they only see you on stage or talking to them. So they don't realize that like you've been eating ramen for 6 fucking days, or that you're shitting in a bag. They don't know any of that stuff. They don't know that your van broke down twice. They don't know any of that, or that one of your members of your band got into a fight with something. They don't know any of that shit. They just know that for 35, 40 minutes, you jump around and then you get paid and you go somewhere. So on the outside of it, no one sees any of the difficult shit. They're just like, oh, he gets to play music and he's, that's why I think this is a whole other conversation. I'm not going to get into it, but the reason there's a devaluation of art and music in particular is because it's treated as vocation, like not vocational, but like a vacation, like you're just taking a vacation from life.
Yeah.
When most of the living is there.
Well, plus like I think it ties into like the way we view a lot of things now, especially like because of I'm Mr. Hate social media. Everybody knows that. Like we see those, like we see him play live, and then you see new song, and then you see in the studio. You see all the highlights of this shit happening, and nobody sees any of the in-betweens, like you're saying, like, like organizing, okay, how much money do we make? How much money do we all need to pitch in for gas? And what happens? Are we getting the door? Do we get to split that evenly? Or is it going back into the band fund? Like, difficult conversations like that. Putting songs together when you're like, I have this idea, I really love it. And then half the band is like, it's okay. And then you're like, fuck you guys, like what are you talking, it's all of that gets missed. And like you said, Stephen, it's like people just see the hits and the highlights, and it's like, what's the big deal? You're in a band, you get to write music and you get to play on stage and everything looks great. And I think it plays into the devaluation of it. I think it plays into the misconception. Like it's the same thing for YouTube, let's be honest. Like, yes, we chose this. Yes, we choose to be musicians. We choose to be in a band and put all that effort in because playing live is a sick reward. Like having your music heard by people is a sick reward. It literally is like a drug, So we choose it because we know the payoff. That doesn't make it any easier. And YouTube's like that too, where it's like we put all this effort into YouTube. And there's a lot of that you guys see behind the scenes. And most of the people know what's going on here. So this is a different crowd, but like collectively, the purveyors of YouTube, it's like, well, YouTuber, what's the big deal? You're making videos on YouTube, okay? Like, put a lot of effort into this, and a lot of effort goes into bands and into being a part of a band. So,
Yeah.
tangent.
Tangent.
For everyone watching, that was a much more diplomatic way of saying it than me saying we shit in a bag.
Well, dude, like, that's a side that that's a level I didn't get to. I didn't
You
get
didn't
to
get to
truly-
hot bag it.
I didn't get to hot bag, man.
How unfortunate.
Like, yeah, we had a trailer.
You
It's
can
like-
shit in the trailer, bud.
I've had
Amazing.
some.
Anyway,
places.
let's move on.
This is why we need.
We're gonna
Patreon.
grab 3 comments here. We're
Yeah.
gonna grab comments about pooping in bags.
I do want to just.
First one here.
There's a lot of
Nope.
talk of like, a lot of really good talk per usual about relationships, and it's good. It's good, guys. You got. I'm reading.
I see it
in
too.
the
I'm like, I don't know which
Yes.
thing to
It's
point out.
a lot of good stuff.
Right.
We'll let
A lot of good
moderator
stuff.
Bunn do it.
But we're gonna kick it off with Turboplasma Chicken. It's very simple. Communication is critical. Lack of it kills anything and everything. It speaks very much.
Yeah.
I think it's a very eloquent way of
Absolutely.
what you guys have been touching on.
For a name
and
like that.
especially getting
Making
it done
quotes like
early.
that.
Turbo always
Yeah.
has the insightful.
Great.
It's funny.
Nick, do you have your eyes on another one?
I don't. Steven, do you? Because I.
Baritone Call mentioned something about talking about real musicians
Stream is delayed.
versus people that are just kind of there.
Oh man, yeah, I saw that.
And it's kind of went down in the feed. So
This one.
okay, serious musicians versus guys that just want to say they're. Yeah, that's. I think
Yeah.
that's every band has some version of that. Even bands that are successful have one dude that's kind of that guy. I'm here to play this thing. Beyond that, I'm doing whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
It's weird because I think when I was younger in bands, I would have sought getting rid of that person and not seeing their role as important. But I think now, like I'm saying this now in a band that's been a thing for going on 10 years and has had more bass players than years as a band. So,
This is a good point, though, Steven. This is
Yeah,
a good
like-
point. About
sometimes you
perspective
have
and
to
shit.
be okay with someone just playing the songs.
Because they are bringing, in most cases, let's use a singer as an example. They're bringing something to the table, you know. They might be amazing on stage, amazing frontman, but, you know, they might not help load gear, or they might not be great at collecting, or they might not be great at this or that. Like I said, we get older with this stuff. You start, at least if you're trying to be mature about things, you're kind of like, okay, what are they bringing to the table here? And is it counteract what we can overlook? And I mean, shit, like, isn't that what we do with relationships all the time? Like, me and my wife are always having, well, at least it's a one-sided discussion about like, yeah, but I do this, so maybe ignore this part of my personality.
Yeah, it was once said to me while I was a singer in a band that the only thing a singer holds is a drink or a conversation.
It's mean.
That was, it was true at that time. I was the problem.
Yeah,
You guys
you
enjoy
can look
that
back and
loadout.
say-
I'll handle the microphone.
I am the
Yeah.
mic guy.
Yeah. These drinks
well, I have
aren't
my
going to drink
wireless mic.
themselves.
Yeah, go collect
I
our
like
drink
this one.
tokens.
How do y'all feel about not telling people to subscribe and like and comment in videos? I feel like that just insults people's intelligence. And I want to speak to this in a more broad scope.
It's a good question.
So being on stage, and this is called a CTA for those of you who don't know.
We don't have merch on the table
Yeah.
in the back. We don't have CDs. Don't buy them.
Yeah. It's called the CTA, call to action. It's a marketing term, and it's very good at saying what it is and what its purpose is. And I have done quite a bit of testing with this in various ways, like with YouTube, but also with, my bands playing live and all that kind of stuff. And Stephen, I'm very curious to see what you have to say about it. But Nick, even though you haven't done a ton with the bands, you've done quite a bit with YouTube, and I know you have some experience with this in that realm, significant experience with it in that realm. So for myself, if I do not do the CTA, it is about 75% less or complete crickets in terms of any kind of action. Whether it be a YouTube call to action, it's like, hey, if you like the video, like the video. If you not subscribe. And if you have it at the beginning versus at the end, your effort will not grow if you don't do it. Same thing with like merchandise. If you're at a show, if you don't say, hey, you don't have, here's the thing. You can say it any way you want to say it. You don't have to say it like everybody else says it. You can come up with your own way of saying it, but it's important to address nonetheless. So with shows, playing shows, what I always used to do was I emphasized the conversation. I'm like, I'm going to be, thanks to everyone coming out tonight. Or, we're going to play a few more songs. I'm going to be at the merch table afterwards. I'd love to chat with you. If you like this kind of music, I'd love to talk about bands. Let's grab a beer, whatever. I'm going to be there. Come hang out. So that was always my tactic. It was very good, but nonetheless, it was a CTA. It's like, come on back. I'm at the merch table. And every time I did that, there was significant sales. Every time I didn't do that, it was crickets. So it's an important part of doing anything creative. Stephen, what's your experience with a CTA of some sort, whether it be YouTube or being on a stage in a band?
It's the thing I absolutely hate doing. Just being truthful, I don't like doing it in videos. I know that it's a necessary evil because of what you're saying. The few videos where I've kind of been like, I'm just going to put a video up and I don't have any of that, I don't get anything from it. Not saying I'm getting anything physically, but there won't be responses. The views don't exist. This stuff is all kind of neither here nor there for someone who's just watching a YouTube video. But if you're creating one, you want people to see it. It's the same with music. You should create for your own interest, but at the same time, you want to share what you're doing with other people. And in this realm, it's almost specifically to share it with other people. Otherwise, it wouldn't. If you're just going to do videos for yourself, you would put them on private and no one would ever see them. Yeah. But which occasionally I will do until I'm okay with whatever the video is, or I'll delete it. I've deleted a few videos, but because I wasn't comfortable with them. But for shows, I guess that answered the question. I feel like it's a necessary evil here. And it shows as well. I'm bad with that stuff. Like if we're playing somewhere local and I know, like I'm so bad with it. If we're playing somewhere that's close enough and I don't have to take the buckets of t-shirts, I'll just let the other bands have the money tonight. What we're really saying is let them do work. I'm going to play a show. I'm not, none of that for me. But I basically do what you do. I just say, hey, if you enjoyed it, we're going to go hang out over here. If you want to come talk to us or hang out and get a drink, things of that nature. That's usually the way. And I'm fortunate and unfortunate that I have a few guys in the band that, depending on their level of inebriation, become very social. And then we get sales because they're literally telling people to come buy things, which is a different approach.
Brash. Oh, but it's cute.
Yeah, and it actually works, as annoying as it probably seems to people who are not interested. But
you guys are a Midwest band, of course it works.
Yeah. Like, hey, come buy stuff, and usually there's some sort of The call to action is for you to buy things so that we can get to the next place that's equally as shitty as this one. But yeah, I don't know. Your approach is the best approach, truthfully, for live instances because you're making a communal thing.
Yeah.
And if there was a way to do that, and if there is, please tell me. But I've yet to find a way through making videos here to where I can feel like I'm getting that same. This is the most community-based thing, other than the comment section. Now you guys have a bigger reach than me, so my 2 or 3 comments are meh. But like, the point is that I still interact with all of them, but this is the most communal way of approaching it for me. And maybe it's different, and I'm curious to hear it from your perspective and Nick's as well, because you guys have a bigger reach. Is there a way to do that through just your videos that feels communal, other than just interacting in comments?
I think it's all about so my intention is to connect with other people, and my most meaningful relationships in life were made by being in a band and playing shows. So through that whole process, all of my best friends are from that. All of the friends that I've made online, you guys and many others, that are very meaningful relationships, are all through that process. So if I was hanging back and not kind of front about, like, subscribe as being inviting, I don't think I would have as rich of a life in terms of the social aspect of it.
Yeah. Well put.
Nick,
Yeah.
do you have anything to add? We're going to go to the next topic here.
Yeah, I do actually. I'm like sort of in I got a foot in both camps. Like with Stephen, I don't particularly like the CTA.
Yeah, nobody
but
likes
Bunn, Bunn makes a good point. It's the person who decides not to subscribe because you suggested maybe subscribe wasn't going to subscribe anyhow. That's the way I look at it. And like, I know I've watched channels where I'm like, oh shit, this person dropped a new video, I'm going to watch it. And because of their CTA, I was like, oh, I'm not subscribed. No wonder I've been missing these guys' videos or whatever. So it's a reminder. And you're right, Stephen. You're not going to get the kind of interaction that feels worth the effort there. But as you start to get bigger, which you're slowly doing, like you're on the same projection, kind of like I was, believe it or not. And not that I'm some huge, I'm not trying to make it sound like that. I'm so huge, man.
I mean, I'm very lucky to be talking to you.
I mean, I'm glad you realize that. But like, what it led to is me getting comfortable on camera and then diving into the live streams, which is like where I get that like hanging out at the bar before the show thing, like you get more of that there. And now with the Discord, especially, like that has been
Discord is awesome.
a massively positive thing.
Yeah.
Where I've been able to jump in and help people randomly, or just jump into it's that is where I'm getting it. It's not on the everyday video for sure. And since I'm not in the band, the YouTube is my band, if you will, right now. My conveyance for my creativeness, my music and whatnot. But it's like I also stole, Bunn does it differently now, but I stole the way he does his CTAs, or the way I do my CTAs. Like, I'm sure some of you who are keen to video, like, I completely ripped him off, I recorded a CTA I don't do it right off the bat. I'll come in and talk to you guys. And I'm literally, that's another thing, another topic. Like, I'm talking to one of you guys now, like Stephen, like, depending on how sarcastic I am, like, I'm talking to you guys in the camera. Then I'll drop the CTA before the meaty part of the video. And then after the meaty part. And because of that, I don't feel like I'm doing it, but I'm doing it every video. And it's consistent, and it feels sort of like a cool little commercial, and it's creative, you know? So if you want something like, if you want it to sustain itself, like this goes to the music and the money, you know, topic we've talked about before. If you want it to be a thing, you're going to have to make it a thing. So CTAs are part of it. It's just part of it. And I joke around sometimes too. Like at the end, I say the same spiel, but like I'm sarcastic with it half the time. It's just, yeah, it's necessary, and it does suck sometimes. And I'm glad I have pre-recorded ones for the most part.
I've been fighting doing that, mostly because I don't want to feel like I'm ripping either of you off. But since you ripped him off, I guess I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
dude, I'll tell Bunn straight up.
Yeah,
like I
He'll
like
send
this
me
idea.
a message or
I'm
call me and be
probably
like,
gonna steal
"I'm
this.
ripping you off right now."
I'm gonna do this.
That's kind of like anything else. I mean, someone else probably did it long before that. You know,
it's you know, first of all, I love Bunn's aesthetic is why I up my aesthetics. You know,
and it's fun.
The truth. And like, there's still Nick's creative element in what I stole from him. And you know, you've already started adapting some creative elements with your channels and some consistent branding and stuff like that. So it's not like
Your channel has transformed, Stephen.
Dude, it's just part of it. Rip everybody off. I rip off other YouTubers too.
Yeah.
I mean, look at my stupid pedal videos. I'm ripping off a much better pedal YouTuber because I like the idea.
Yeah. We're going to get to the next point here. We're probably going to rip through the next two. No, never apologize. This is a good hang. Lots of great comments. And we're going to probably go back through the comments later on because there's so many good ones. But we're going to go into the next point here. And this point is sunk costs. You know, one of the biggest fears of being a, you know, saying these guys stink and I want to leave is, well, what about everything I put into it? Everything that I put into it money-wise, everything I put into it effort-wise, I want to get something out of it. And the reality is, in most cases, it's a sunk cost. And what is a sunk cost? A sunk cost is, you know,
time and money, really.
Yeah, time and money you're never going to get back. It's just part of the process, and you gotta just. It's not part of the profit model. It's not profit either being money or profit being enjoyment, profit being social richness, whatever. So, Nick, can you?
I'm going to piggyback off of you guys.
Or sorry,
you guys
Nick,
go.
Stephen, what can you say about your experiences in terms of leaving bands in this, you know, the turmoil maybe, or maybe it was really easy for you where you're like, I've put all this effort and time into it and it's a loss, or it's like, I don't care. I'm way better off. I feel way more positive and inspired going in a desirable direction rather than being dragged down.
Okay. Well, I've done both. The band I was in prior to Close the Hatch was 2004 until 2011. Mm-hmm. So quite a while. And with that, there's no denying that you dump money into stuff, especially if you're the one leading the charge. Essentially, you're the one dropping the most money, most time, most effort is going to be you. There's going to be contributors, hopefully. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I still, it's an existential battle, right? So like, you're giving yourself and your time, your money, money is what we're talking about here, but you're giving it to this thing that may never give you anything back. So, all right, does it matter really? I mean, I guess yes, unless if you've invested thousands of it, it's different because you're doing it over a span of time, right? I guess that's the best way for me to put it. If I'm spending years investing into something, that's easier to tolerate than spending all of that money at once.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's part of it, but that's part of everyday life. If you buy a home at a certain point, you might sell it. Like, I don't know. I don't find it's, how do I put this? When I was younger, I would get a lot more upset if I wasted this and I wasted that. I kind of try to look at it as an opportunity to be like, oh, if I had have done something different. And hindsight's 2020, of course. Maybe I could have saved myself some money or put the money I put into this thing into something else. And ultimately, all that does is inform my decision making going forward.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to fuck up. I'm still going to spend money on shit I shouldn't spend money on. Like, it's just part of it. We've gotten to this conversation about gear acquisition. That's a thing too. Not feeling like you have the thing you need to create the thing you want to create. There's 30 guitars behind me. So, if I turn the camera, you'd be like, this idiot is saying this shit. But like, so like, you have to, I don't know, for me, you have to be okay with a certain amount of it's gone. But also, the other perspective of it, and it's not even pertaining to musicians, if you're working, your sole purpose in working and giving your time to a job, whether it's 8, 12 hours a day, sometimes more, if that time is yours and you're giving it to someone else, what you get back in return financially, some of that money should go to something you enjoy. It shouldn't just pay your bills. Yes, that's what you're truly working for, but you're also working to afford leisure to some regard. And I'm not a big person for like, let's go hang out at a beach for a week. 2 days into that, I'm tired of it. I would rather have spent that money on something that I can sit down and create something with. So I see all sides of it, but I look at it like it's an investment into your creativity. So that's a good thing, no matter what.
Yeah.
It's also a life
away
lesson.
From a bad situation is that, like, I love that thing. Walking away from a bad situation, no matter what that's about, is a good investment.
For sure.
That should be a t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's just knowing when to step away is good, but also, take pride is probably the wrong word, but I'll use it. Take pride in the fact that you've perhaps learned something from what you've given up.
Yeah. It is another trope, but it's that those things exist because it's true. It's true. Like, and you said again, hindsight. It's like, I mean, gear is just one thing that you can really just pinpoint. Like, I've had X piece of gear thinking it was we've talked about this, it's gonna do this, that, or the other thing, and then I have a very limited number of things I use. Yeah. And then situationally, it's like same kind of thing. A lot of the guys are kind of saying exactly what I'm sort of thinking. It's like Stephen was saying, a younger Nick would look at things and be like, what a fucking waste of time. But now I can still say that, but also like, well, listen, had this not happened, then I wouldn't have learned this or done this, or it wouldn't have led to this. I am very good at looking at things that way now, probably to the annoyance of everyone around me. But like, it's just comes from fucking up so much, man. It really, that's where it comes from. It comes from, and I try to tell this to my kids too. It's like, I see this mistake happening in your future because I've done it. Like, just hear me out. And it doesn't matter though, you still got to go through it, or they have to go through it. And then it's like, oh, okay. Because we've all gotten sound, sage advice from people growing up that we just in one ear out the other, and you look back and you're like, oh man,
I should have paid attention.
No shit. Yeah. But I do try and, like Stephen, take away like what I can from it, while also trying to be smart about what I am willing to lose, if you will, you know? I guess that's my little take on this.
I feel like that's an episode, like loss.
For sure. Failure.
Yeah. Failure and loss as opportunity.
It's the
For sure.
skateboarding analogy, man. It's like, if you're like, I'm not even going to bother learning a 360 flip because I'm going to not land it 618 times, you know?
But when you do.
But when you do, yeah. Like, yeah. I always go there, I know. But it's like, I just remember watching Logan, you know, learning tricks and thinking that, like, dude, you suck more than you're good. And then you land it. And then it's like learning a lesson in life, you know? And then you can land it again. You can land it again with some consistency. And learning that lesson, you build upon one trick to land another trick. Dude, skating's the best. Skating is life. If you think
It totally is.
I'm an idiot.
Well, you have to eat shit a bunch, whether it's skating or in life in general. Otherwise, you know, or just don't learn anything from anything and continue to fuck up. But
Yeah. I mean, we could point that right at music. You're right, Stephen. Like, a lot of the guys we've talked about in the chat, in the streams, it's like putting that first thing out. Like, well, I just want it to be good enough. Like, I think I still have the first single. It's a demo that I put up on my Bandcamp. I think it's still there.
Amazing.
And it was like, because I was afraid, like, you have to do it. You have to do the first thing. And it's probably going to suck. Accept that it's probably going to suck. If it doesn't, then you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
If putting it back to the skate thing, if you land it one time, now all you're going to do is search for the next thing.
Yeah.
So it's the same with music stuff. Okay, well, that's out now, so I have to move on.
Yep.
I have to do something else.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that skateboarding analogy like so much. I need to make it a shirt somehow. I don't even wear printed shirts. I need to change that though. Anyway, we're going to take 3 comments here. The first one that I'd like to
Good
jump
luck, 'cause
into,
there's a
get
lot
your
of good
eyes on
ones.
them, guys. But, you know, the Mr. Cosman says, what we really want to know is how is the white LD, liquid death, LD is liquid death, different from the black LD? And, you know, he wants us to
Sparkling.
murder his curiosity.
Are you drinking the white stuff? Oh, you're drinking flat water.
I'm
this is just
tickling
water?
my thirst.
Yeah.
I won't be doing any murdering. I'm just gently caressing my thirst with
Yeah.
great value.
You're
Mountain
boring your
Spring water.
thirst.
But you did go on a murder spree.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
liquid
Like
death.
cases and cases. Murdering spree.
So much that they're now homes for cats.
Murder my curiosity. Cosman, you do have invaluable life lessons with each of those wasted investments. Like Stephen was saying, yeah, you have to eat shit sometimes. It's just,
I mean, you know, it's life in general.
You know, 13 flaws. There's a lot of response to this topic or this part of the topic. You know, you only fail if you fall and don't get back again. You know, and I think that's an interesting thing. Failure is kind of not continuing a lot of times. Sometimes it's important to not continue a specific path. But yeah, the get back up is the easiest way to solve failing. If you're worried about failing, just get back up.
yeah. I think when I look back at failures in my life, it is definitely things that I've given up on. I didn't put my full effort into, or that I let defeat me in some way.
Yeah.
Of course, that's me now. And I know how the group that watches us is a little bit different, but I know how this can be like, this is very like, you know, you can do it, you know, you just got to get back in there. I know how a lot of this sounds, but there's a fucking reason why we say it. It's because like, it, you know, it's like true. Like it's like I've sucked at things, and if I wanted it to not suck, then I needed to do something about it or put the effort in. Mixing, you know, like it's a good example of something you suck at for a long time, and you kind of don't realize when you get good at it. And I still am, you know, and I say that because I still question my mixes, and people have told me that they like how my mixes sound. So at some point, I got good, but you don't see it, you know. And but you, it's one of those things you have to expect to not just be good at instantly.
Yeah. One day you just come out the other side.
Yeah.
Where is it here? I just saw a good one. Oh, damn it.
It's too many good ones.
I will say that with what you were saying, Nick, I am a naturally fairly skeptical and pessimistic person. So
No.
yeah, it's crazy, right? So it's kind of like it's hard. While I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's hard for me, even while I'm dealing with those things, to understand. Sometimes you don't know you're failing until you've failed.
Yeah.
Right. That's
so. Yeah, I don't know, man.
No, you bring up a good point because, you know, as we become buddies and friends, like we talk a lot about stuff, and we both can we the three of us get to see us being in the shit sometimes, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Like a couple weeks ago, you know, you were in the shit, and then like last week I was in the shit, and Bunn knows, he's heard me be, you know, that you're in that moment of like decision. Like, am I going to let this thing suck, or am I going to fail at it or let it have more control, or am I going to just like, maybe that's probably why we talk to each other, is to like get it out there in the ether and then hear it, and you're like, yeah, okay, all right, fuck it. You know, like you were just talking today, you know, about, you know, jobs and making decisions. Like, I'm just going to do this then. Fuck it, I'm going to do this. Because you got to just do something, you know?
Keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Sharks keep moving.
Did you find one?
Yeah, I got a good one here.
Oh,
Eccentric says, I want to have a music channel like this, but I only have a phone to record live with. This ties in nicely with what we were just talking about, the sort of the failure aspect. Not only is failure a great thing to gain wisdom from, but it's also something not to fear. So if you have a phone that records video, you should use it. Don't worry about the downside.
Some of my videos I filmed on a GoPro. Some of my videos I filmed on, I want to say, my iPhone. There's some videos that I filmed on a little DJI thing.
Yeah.
Use what you have. You can. People have shot movies on iPhones, or it doesn't. I know you didn't say you have an iPhone, but like, use what you have in your hand.
Get started.
As a videographer, something that is said over and over in photography in the video world: use the camera you have. You know, you have one on your phone. Make the best of it. Try to get your lighting on par as best as you can, and go from there. Build from there. Like, don't let a lack of something stop you from even starting. You know.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm using an
a
$80
lot of my
webcam.
videos when I'm traveling are on my phone.
Yeah, exactly. And Bunn just brings up a good point. I'm not using my camera that I usually use, but like most of the time we use just Logitech C920s. $80 webcam.
Yeah. Stephen, you started your channel quite recently. It's about a little over a year ago. What's your anniversary date? Like February was your first published date, or January?
My very first video was November of 2019, but there was a pretty big gap between that.
The follow-up.
Wow.
So essentially you kind of got going with the channel in 2020.
Yeah, I didn't really start focusing on it until this past year when I had time.
And really what you did though, what I really liked about watching it happen is you just went for it. You're like, I'm just going to start a channel and I'm just going to keep making videos. It's like, I'm not going to worry about how I'm doing it. I'm just going to go for it.
You chip away at all those little details.
Yeah. And made a lot of great content, made a lot of headway in a very short period of time. Took me 3 or 4 years to get to 300 subscribers.
I mean, you were paramount in a big portion of my jump. I think once I did the video with you, I definitely saw a significant
little spike.
Yeah, little spike there.
That's all part of the journey. Is what you line up with, whatever. You have no control over that stuff, but that's not going to happen if you don't just jump in and do it.
My worst video is my first video, and it has like 10,000 views. Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch it once.
That is the way of the YouTubes.
I have some cringy videos up on my channel.
Yeah. My biggest video is not very good, and yeah, it's got like 60 or 70,000 views or whatever.
I really consider often, like, when I go back through my thing, and I'm like, because I would try a little series here, a little series there. Yeah. I did the vlog thing for a while, which is so cringy. It's not bad. I got a lot of positive, like, feedback and interaction from it, but I was so in the infancy of being comfortable on camera. I can feel it.
Yeah. But you're not going to figure out what to do or how to do it by not doing it. You got to just jump in and do it.
Yeah.
And it's such an amazing experience if you can commit to it, because it keeps going, your life kind of changes. It's amazing. YouTube or being in a band or whatever, like there's a million things that are scary at first.
For sure.
We're going to
like real quick. I just want to say this, like in regards to like Stephen starting his channel and putting effort into it and it growing, like, dude, you have a lot of insight and knowledge and experience with all this. Like, I'm glad that you started a YouTube channel that Bunn found, and then I found you, and like now we're friends. Like you don't know what's going to come of something. We've talked about this, Bunn, before. Like, I don't know what this thing is going to start, but the next thing that it brings along might be something bigger and better. Like, now I've gained friendship with Stephen and we're working on music together. It's like, who doing nothing none of that would be a thing, you know? So
for sure,
you just never know what taking that first step, what else might come along with it.
Yeah. I have amazing relationships around the world. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I genuinely had no clue that I would actually make friends from YouTube. I just looked at it like, well, I'm going to
Me neither. And now one of my best friends, like, I'm talking with two people that I'm getting closer. Like, Bunn is genuinely my best friend, and Stephen, you and I have been talking for like days straight, you know, for months now. So it's crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to save some of these juicy comments for the big comment jamboree at the end. We're going to get to the last point here. And point 3 is, where is your focus? Like, what are we focusing on in all of this stuff? We're in a bad situation, or maybe we got to do some self-work. Maybe we identify, it's like, I'm a terrible person. I'm a failure. Well, what are we going to do? Where's our focus? And I think it's important to focus on the focus. Where are we looking? Where is our attention and energy? Because it's going to have a big effect on what direction we go and where we land. And so if you're focusing, let's say, this is not voodoo or The Secret or anything like that. Some people misconstrue this stuff for that kind of stuff. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking very practical terms.
Yeah.
If you are focused on being stuck in a shitty situation and needing to quit, you'll probably stay in a shitty situation and feel the need to quit for a very long time. But if you are focused, if your mind is like, I'm positive, I'm going to transition out of this into a productive and positive situation. I'm going to do my thing and I'm just going to flourish. I'm not going to be bothered or worried about this sort of thing. So I hope that illustrates kind of the perspective of this final point, because we always try to kind of, in the end of a topic, talk about like, you know, how we swung with these things and how those things might be actionable in other people's paths, other people's lives, other people's endeavors, or even our own going forward. So Stephen, what do you have to say about all of that? Do you want me to be more specific?
Yes, please.
Situations where maybe you were having to exit something that was not working out very well, and your focus was maybe on the negative, or your focus was on the positive. Either example is relevant, but and how that focus in being stuck in a situation either helped or hindered you.
Well, with music stuff, I guess the project I was in prior to Close the Hatch, I was doing that for a long time, and it got to a point where it was just a rotating cast of lineups and such, and a lot of me fighting against not just ending something that wasn't going well. So it was just like, I'm gonna keep finding another person to replace this person. Okay, well, this guy's quitting. I'll see if this guy who used to be in the band can do it for a little while. And it never, once it got past, like, there was a point at which a line was crossed that I should have been like, oh, this is time. Like, it's time to look elsewhere, or to, you know, move my focus. And being completely transparent, I've had those moments with Close the Hatch and then taken time off and then found a different way to approach it. And it's kind of put the perspective back on just me, because it was my decision to make. But most of the time, I don't know, in the past, again, all this retrospect, but in the past, I definitely let things linger just because of fear of having to start over.
Right.
And because you put all that, I think that's the thing that's more important than money that goes into creative projects, is that you're like, well, I've invested, you know, half a decade or 10 years, whatever, into this thing. If I walk away from it now, like, then all that's for naught. But not really. I mean, obviously, you figure out that it's beneficial for your decision making going forward, but while it's happening, it just feels like the end of the world. So,
yeah.
And you have to, like, that's, I guess, the getting older thing is, like, anymore, if I feel like, okay, that's a thing, then I just say something about it, whether or not, at the risk of making an ass of myself for being insecure, or pissing someone off for, you know, saying what I think. You know, there's ways to handle things and ways to approach things. I think that's the problem, is when I was younger, if I was frustrated with something, it would be more of like, fuck you type of thing. Whereas now I'm like, wait, I'd like to figure out a way to approach this. Whereas before I'd be like, hey, let's burn every bridge in the process. Fuck it. But
yeah, man.
Like, I mean, that's the most bare bones I can put it. I mean, you just look at it differently. I think today, if I were to be in a situation like that, I think because I have other things creatively right now, that I'd be okay walking away from it. I think this is a whole other topic, but I think it's important to have more than one thing.
Yeah.
If you're a creative person, have more than one thing, whether that's film stuff, you know, or draw. I don't know. I do, like, physical artwork too, and I have multiple musical ideas and projects going all the time that may not become anything until something spurs them to become something. And it's better, at least for my own sanity, to have some sort of plate spinning somewhere should one of them fall.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, when I move to London, me and Artie are going to back up your Living Locust jams.
We are moving to London
one day.
one day.
Yeah.
When he gets tired of paying that Toronto rent.
Yeah, well,
rent is
one
pretty
day
good
I'll
right now.
do another song for that project.
Yeah. Nick, any thoughts on the final point, the sort of wrap up on all of this stuff? Is it me? Is it them? You know, how to tell, and in the end, being clear on what you want and understanding that what you want is what you get, kind of thing. Like, I think you know where we're at.
Yeah. The only thing that really comes to mind for me for this last point, like, I think it's important when you have to think about your focus, and it's something that I've developed. It's something that I've developed because there were portions of my life where I was like, there's no way I'm getting out of this. I don't know how to do this. I talk about it in one of my Beyond the Mix or Behind the Mix. It's been a while since I did one, so I forgot the title already, which means I need to do another one. But anyway, I read in a book once about this study. There's open studies about the science behind a positive mental outlook. And I know it sounds woo-woo. We've talked about this. And
It's
again,
not, though.
we're not doctors. We're not psychologists or psychiatrists. We're not here to help you. We're just sharing perspective. They took the employee base of a hotel, took half of them, gave them a presentation, told them this is what you're going to do, this is your job, and these are your tasks. And they took the other half and said, these are all the benefits that come with what you're going to be doing. You're going to be losing weight. You're going to have all these health benefits. You're going to learn these skills. And by pointing, they all did the same thing. They all did the same thing. I think it was like the cleaning crew of a hotel. Half of them were given the spiel, like, look at all this stuff that you're doing. Here's ways you can do it to, like, basically it's like a workout, a physical workout. You can lose all this weight. You can get healthy. That half of the group that were put into a positive frame of mind were healthier and lost weight. It was clinically, like, documented.
Yeah.
The other half hated their job or just went along every day to collect a paycheck. They saw no overt benefit from it.
Right.
And the point I'm trying to make is, like, if you choose to put yourself into a mental state that's going to be beneficial for your creative endeavors, it's going to help you plow through those negative times. It's going to help you see opportunity, you know. And I'm very much like Stephen too, where it's like, you're like this too, Bunn. We don't have just one thing we're doing.
No.
Like, they all are somewhat related,
yeah,
because we're creative dudes. But, you know, just because I know, well, this is going to lull at some point, or this might not pan out, or this thing is going to fail, or if I have to rely on people for this, it's going to take a while. Like, put things into motion that are going to, you have to, like, set yourself up for success, you know? Yeah. And mental outlook has a lot to do with it. That being said, like I just got done saying, it's not an easy thing to do all the time, and I am definitely not good at being positive all the time.
It's terrible.
I'm not. I'm very, very dry and sarcastic, and I'm very, like, I'm such a realist. It's frustrating for my wife, you know.
My pragmatism is my worst character trait.
I think that's another reason why Stephen and I have gravitated towards. I'm so pragmatic. It's upsetting. Like, I've told this story before. I've been in an argument with Tony where I was like, what would you like me to do? Do you want me to sugarcoat things? And she literally said, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Let's cushion the blow a little.
Yeah. Ease up, asshole. Like, I get it. So much of my, like, we've talked about, like, self-reflection in this a little bit. Like, so much of mine has been that. If I don't give a shit, you won't hear peep out of me. If I do, and I get passionate and loud and I start moving around like this, it's because I care. And what I say, what I am for a lot of people, some of my best friends will attest to this, is I am definitely not the guy that's going to tell you what you need to hear, or what you think you need to hear, or what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you should be hearing, or what I think you should be hearing, being from the outside. I'm going to be that guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably make you mad. You're going to fucking hate me for a little bit, or I'm going to offend you. But in the long run, you will, I feel, and I'm not always right, but most of the time I am, I will feel you will have benefited from hearing that, at least from some person, and I'll be that one person. And I am like that with my family and my wife, and it doesn't always go over well.
You're like that
So,
with me quite a bit, but I understand you.
guys are different, man. Like, yeah, I have been presumptuous in our relationship, and I've been like that with you.
Right.
Um,
So, I get
maybe maybe that's a hint that maybe I need to
no, you're fine.
sugarcoat things a little bit.
No, be shitty.
Liar. Anyway,
Just be straight up.
like I
Yeah.
am to a fault,
Right.
like Steven said. You have to know how to. You can be that way, but also not be such a jagged, rusted butter knife about it. You know, like, and my wife sees it with my kids too, and I have to have secondary conversations. My boys are 19 and 17, and I got to go back and say, like, just make sure you understood what I was trying to get at here, you know? Because Tony will hear conversations between me and my 19-year-old, and she'll be like, dude, like, maybe you're being too blunt and harsh about it. She's like, I know what you're trying to convey. I don't think it's coming across that way. And I'm like, well, first of all, stop fucking listening to our conversations. And secondly, no. And secondly, she's right 99% of the time. Like, so I'll go back and like, hey man, just reiterate, like, I'm here for you, and this is what I mean by it. And I have to do that with people sometimes.
Right.
But I'm trying to be better about not needing to do that. So it takes a lot of self-reflection, and sometimes I suck.
Pause. Pause is
Yeah,
so valuable.
That is, as I interrupt you, is one of the biggest points that I've been learning over the last year is like, just don't say anything right away. Just shut up. Like, absorb it and then come back with it. Because then it gives them a chance to like think about what they just said, and they start being the pragmatic one for a second, and then you can see like, yeah, let's go that direction, and you push them over the cliff of reason. The cliff of reason. You just murdered that person.
The
by pushing
cliff
them off
of
the
reason.
cliff of reason.
That's a shirt. Another shirt. This
Maybe.
episode produced a lot of shirts.
Dude. Yeah, we have to go back and watch all our episodes for shirt ideas,
Yeah.
because I need some.
Ah,
So
so someone make me a shirt. I have basically my logo and no one has bought anything.
oh really? I'll make you a shirt.
You need
wait,
you need a beard silhouette, my dude, with the
you
glasses.
do. Yeah.
As long
just
as
beard
it doesn't end
glasses.
up looking like Fluff's, I'm cool.
Oh
Or does
shit!
Fluff have
I
the same
forgot
thing?
yeah, I
Yeah,
guess he
Fluff's
does.
logo is his beard, basically.
My wife drew this
Okay.
when I had a beard.
Uh,
She painted it.
anyhow, we're
She
gonna
arted it.
head into the comments. We're gonna have a comment jamboree. There's a lot of them. So Nick Hill and Steven, if you guys could, you know, I'm gonna do a little bit of little fancy stuff here before we get into the comments. But while I'm doing that, if you could
Yep,
get
I'll
your
peek some
eyes
out.
on some, that would be great. I just want to let you guys know where you can find Stephen. By the way, anyone who has joined us late, this here is Stephen Barton. He is the creator behind the Gear Stuff and Things YouTube channel, as well as the singer and guitar player, writer, principal writer, I suppose, of Close the Hatch, which is an amazing kind of hybrid of doom, sludge, desert rock, even some pop elements in there. Amazing music. I'm going to put the comments. I'm going to put the links to both of his endeavors, and it'd be great if you followed up with him. Give him a subscribe and a message over at his YouTube channel.
Thank you.
In addition, before we get into the final comments, I just want to bring to your amazing attention this here incredible thing we have going on called And there's a bunch of with us over there. We're going to do this no matter what, but you know, the help that we have had with it so far has been great, and it allows us to do it a little bit more easily, especially in addition to all of the other things that we're doing. The link to our Patreon is in the description, or not the description. It is also in the description, but it's in the comments. But all of these fine folks, the Cosman, Renato, Ben Drakeford, Tanner Borglum, Rough Riffs, Baritone Cult, Gary Prosser. Hey, Gary Prosser.
That's his brother.
Barry Prosser, Kevin O'Brien, and Anthony Nieto. All like outstanding brothers, and you know, incredible amount of thanks for your support and enthusiasm and all of that kind of stuff. But going forward, we're going into the comments now. Nick Hill, Stephen Barton, do you guys have something queued up?
Yeah, I have Development of a Void has a good take on it. Positivity isn't exactly beneficial. What is detrimental to our health is stress and negativity. So long as we avoid cynicism, it's okay to be pessimistic. And I wouldn't argue with that for the most part. Yeah. Fair. And I think that's maybe when I talk about being positive, I do mean less negativity, because being neutral is sort of like being positive. Like if you get stuck, like you've said, Bunn, like if you get stuck in the negativity, like you will just stay there.
Yeah.
So it's an avoidance of negativity, a recognition that you're being negative or having a negative outlook. And
be content, not complacent.
There you go.
Yeah. And Baritone Cult kind of adds to that. Hell, when you have it, meaning when you have the positivity, the good vibes, or if you're making moves, you have to hang on to it tightly. Like recognize that you got things going on in that direction. And, you know, there's a saying in photography and cinematography, it's protect your highlights. And I like that saying in terms of philosophy for your life, like protect your highlights, the things that are a highlight in your life, protect them. They're very valuable, and sometimes they can be broken easily or with neglect. So,
yeah.
Do you have another one queued up there?
Yeah, I had a, let's see. Took that one. Yeah, let's bring up Cosman, because Cosman is early on his journey when it comes to YouTube and getting back into music and putting himself out there. So he says, I had no idea about Bandcamp Friday before. Now I get it. Want to try and get a monthly track done. It's a small, measurable goal and may throw a log on the music fire. Absolutely.
Yeah,
just do it.
Absolutely. Like, especially putting it out there into the ether, you know?
Yeah. Tim Wheeler says, that's cool that y'all skate. I've been a skater since 86. I've been at it since 78. 77 or 78.
My parents weren't even fucking then.
What are you saying?
I think you got me beat by 4 years.
Okay.
I mean, they might have been, but I don't think so.
Wild. So wild.
Oh, you guys are both older than me? I'm the young one? Whoa.
I am only 25. I just have a 50-year-old skin.
If you're 25, I'm 6. Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm a bad skater. I wasn't very good to begin with, but I love skating. I love the culture. I love everything. I got into filming skating for a while. And clearly I like longboarding still.
I got into, I was never much, I realized early on that I was eating shit way too much, so I stopped skating.
That's a good realization.
And then I started riding a bike a lot, and then, broke and sprained my wrist. So then I was like, it's cool drawing. It's cool.
I agree, 100%.
And
Yeah,
then I
it's a
started
lot
playing
less
guitar,
violent.
Yeah.
and I got away from the X Games.
Yeah. I stopped with gaps and rails, like handrails and all that kind of stuff.
I still
After
get the
some
heebie-jeebies.
severe injuries,
Yeah.
and I was going on tours as a drummer, and I'm like, my body's
The last
mangled.
thing you need is to have a broken arm.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what doesn't totally wreck my entire skeleton? Playing guitar.
Yeah.
At the time, I was playing drums, but I already knew that transition back to guitar.
Mhm.
But Anthony Nieto says CTAs helpful. Sometimes got 38 tabs open, and unless explicitly reminded to this, a thumbs up, I would likely forget. Pour one out for all the loyal worthy videos I've forgotten to thumbs up. Pour one out for my homies. But yeah, it's a good point because whether it's on stage and you're like, oh, this song's off of this new record that we've just released, or we have a bunch of merch at the back, would love to hang out with you after the show, whatever the case may be. Calling it out, letting people know what you're there for, what you're doing, and how you can all kind of do it all together, work together. So it's just not on the minds of people, and even Anthony says it's not even on my mind, and I have my attention on it to begin with. So great point. Nick, do you have another one?
Oh yeah, let's shout out our boy for throwing some support. Development of a Boy just became a Patreon. Thanks for answering all my questions. Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bunn and I always look forward to Wednesday because
It's a buzz.
it is. It's community's good, man, and I think we forget that sometimes. In decades previous, we were getting our community in different shapes and forms, and now we have the internet. As far as the positive side of the internet is stuff like this. So
yeah,
we always enjoy you guys and appreciate you guys and your support and your insights and your comments and your support, and we love helping you guys because most of the questions you have we've dealt with.
Yeah, amazing. This one here, Self-Inflatable says, I'm late, but speaking of people just showing up to play the songs, I want a band full of those dudes.
You got 'em.
So, it's kind of funny in some ways. And to some people, it turns them off. I've played in bands with Artie. This is the example that I was talking about earlier of my own experience. I'm like, I'm in this band, but this is your band, and you have to kind of be the prime leader in it. I already know personally that it will work better when that's the case. And to the benefit of Self-Inflatable, he knows this. So everything that he's going to go forward doing, he's going to communicate that right off the top. It's not going to be kind of an awkward thing that's going to be discovered by people going 4 months in, a year in, 3 years into the band. It's like, oh, hey man, you don't pay attention to my ideas. So yeah, being upfront. Stephen, have you ever been Nick? Obviously, part of your thing was that exactly. Have you ever been, Stephen, in a situation where you were not the writer, where you were a support for a band? Because it seems like you were usually the writer.
I have a few times. I am again. I'm doing stuff with Nick, and it's his material. I'm just adding to it.
Well, you are writing the lyrics, though.
Yeah, this is true.
And that's definitely open, to change. I kind of threw this on Steven. I had material written, and I wanted him to be a part of it. And if he is, that's definitely going to change if he wants to continue to do stuff. It's not my thing. I'm very democratic with old age,
Oh, well, a small reason why I've been pretty much as every time I was in a band where I wasn't kind of setting things in motion or just playing the role of a guitar player or whatever. It just didn't work. There was no, I was the one with motivation. Or same scenario, I was just number two of the group, of two guys that gave a shit.
Yeah.
And then ultimately that led me to, not want to do that. And then the last instance where I tried out for a band, and this was the final nail in the coffin of that, is that towards the end of me playing with said band, I told, this is a stupid story, but it's absolutely true and ridiculous. I told the guy on his back porch in between breaks of playing, we were hanging. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm happy to hang out for the rest of the night. We can, I'll play with you and enjoy. They were basically just doing classic rock stuff. But I was like, it's just not, I don't think I'm a good fit for it. And I was just being honest. And then the guy threatened to kick my ass. So I'm just saying that
timing is important.
Yeah. He told me to get the fuck out of his house.
Wow.
Well, you ruined practice, you dick.
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah.
I was gonna kind of piggyback on Bunn's point with Artie. I think Bunn and I have had this discussion because people ask about Bunn and I collabing somewhat frequently.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of came to the decision, maybe I'm talking out of my ass, where it's I will have to be a support for Bunn's ideas because he likes to write in a very particular way. And
no, I think we just need to come up with a system for the writing. That
I think what I also, in regards to that, I said, yes, this is coming back to me now, is I'm willing to be I just want to do something with you. So if that means you have an idea and I add to it, or play the bass right along with it, I'm cool with it.
I have a pretty good idea of how we can do it. Maybe we can do a 3-way jammer.
3-ways are cool.
Triploids.
Cincinnati 3-way or people 3-way?
Cincinnati 3-way? What the?
Cincinnati 3-way is chili spaghetti.
Chili spaghetti?
It sounds delicious.
It's Skyline, Gold Star. It's a thing in Ohio.
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening in Ohio?
I don't know. It's getting very Ohio centric. It's a stupid Ohio joke.
What is it? The Horad School of Art or whatever? There's a famous school of art there.
There is. We have Antioch and a couple. Yeah.
There's a couple of them.
Anthony gets it.
Yeah. Anthony.
Ohio. Anthony's in
Ohio. Anthony, Ian Gorey says the band Stain made a documentary about the making of their last album, and it shows how much the members of the band can start to hate each other. And it's Stained.
I don't know.
They're full of hate to begin with. But I played the Mashak all day today. Interesting.
No slight on the baritone love for Stained.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
But great example of not squaring away what's going on with the roles and all of that kind of stuff early. It builds up and you end up in a situation like this.
It's the opposite of what we were saying. Money is the problem in that scenario.
Yeah, probably.
Right. Yeah.
People gave Metallica a lot of shit for coming out with Some Kind of Monster because it showed the stuff we're talking about, the dysfunction and having to come to terms with shit that's going on and having difficult conversations and interactions. People gave them so much crap about it. And I think about it man, they let you into what's really going on in a band, especially the band of that magnitude. Imagine.
Yeah.
It's
complicated, man. It's not a basic thing.
Especially when you're that big and you have people your success, you've started such a thing that people are living off of your success, having employees and their label and everything.
Other people's lives depend on you.
Yeah. So that pressure and I'm not trying to, I have love for Metallica. They were very, in my formative years, played a big role, but I'm not kissing their ass or anything. It's you know, to keep it up, to sustain all those other people, you know, and then falling in and out of like proper communication or going through like, you know, substance issues, like it can get messy and you don't always see that. And where we wonder why like a band takes X amount of years to do something or what, you know, whatever, or why this album didn't sound as like that album. It's like, man, you don't know what's going on back there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't realize you're making your own Saint Anger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, Saint Anger went 6 times platinum, so they weren't doing anything wrong.
Yeah, which is
That's
interesting,
funny, right?
hey? The like the most commonly referenced terrible album that did incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Nickelback is another one of those. The most hated band in the world that is like 10 times platinum or some crap like
Some
that.
of the best productions.
Yeah.
Like as far as like, you know,
Yeah.
pop rock productions.
High quality butt rock.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you
Butt
go into it,
Butt rock.
I love that
So
term, butt
good.
rock. I use it all the time.
I don't even know where it came from. But
Or
it's fun.
cock rock.
It fits so well. Cosman wants to get in on the action, and he's saying he's waiting to play triangle on a track for us guys, but I think he's actually going to play lead guitar. If you've ever heard Cosman play guitar.
Yeah, I like the
Four
guy
way.
like says he's only could be, you know,
He's-
relegated to the triangle when he can
Yeah.
solo like beautifully.
Maybe what's going on there is when you unleash the beast,
Then it's
There
his
are-
band. Not
there
yours.
are repercussions. The earth, you know,
He is technically on several of my tracks, and since he sent me that cable, he's going to be,
all right.
yeah.
There you go.
His handiwork is going to be on all the Wells tracks.
Amazing. Yeah. Cosman is on every single thing I do in that way because
That's right, he made your coilies.
my coilies are always ready to go. Always ready to go.
And I do want to say, for those of you that are part of the community and in the Discord, you know, Cosman had started a reverb site and made a bunch of cables and, you know, had a kind of like a backlog of parts, and he wanted to get them sold and just to get it done because they weren't going off the shelves. Anyways, I kind of put out an APB in the Discord to help Cosman sell his stuff so he can at least recoup his money from making them, and he sold them all. So those of you who
Awesome.
bought a cable in
That's
the
awesome.
Discord from Cosman, not only are you seriously going to get a handmade high quality cable, but you helped out Cosman by selling all his stuff and recouping his money. So I appreciate you guys
Help the brother
doing
out.
that. Yeah. Supporting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apoplexia is I should click on it. Apoplexia is down for making electronic sounds and probably some riffs. Yeah,
Some
I'm gonna actually head up the this reminds me, I'm gonna head up the whole riff thing that we were talking about
man,
in
yeah, I
the
know.
Discord.
It's been so back of mine. I
Um,
apologize for that.
Yeah. Stephen, do you know about anything about that? You're in or like you have a section in the Discord.
Yeah, it's rarely utilized. So I get on there and I look and see what people are talking about, and occasionally will chime in.
Yeah. You gotta
I'm
you gotta
not fully in the
burst
loop.
onto the scene, be like, "Hello, I'm Steven. I've entered the building."
You should just spam all your videos and all the channels.
That's what I'm gonna make one link that goes to everyone,
Every single one. That is a cool thing to do.
or figure out a way just to make links that only go to the like and subscribe button.
Oh, that is possible. Yeah, you can do that. It's not a
Of
cool
course it
thing,
is.
or maybe it's a cool thing. I don't know.
Yes.
But yeah, this week, no, not this week, next week, I'm going to revisit that whole idea of in the Discord, doing this sort of community sort of riffs thing. I have been posting BO riffs, and this week I'm going to post a bunch more and going into the next week. But I'd like to get this whole community creativity thing going. So I don't know, Nick, if you're going to have any time. I think you're going to start traveling soon, aren't you?
Yeah, next week I'll be traveling a little bit. That's
Like
why I kind
work travel, by the
Yeah,
way.
I have to
if
actually
anyone's
work.
curious.
I have to travel for work. We do have to make money to get our
Yeah.
company.
Stephen, are
into
you
the-
interested in any part of that? Like, kind of.
Yeah, we're doing the BO riff thing again.
We're doing the BO riff thing again, and it's happening in the Discord, and I'm doing it on the Facebook group, the Baritone Obsessed, because it's a perfect place for it.
Nice.
Then in the Discord group, I want to get a sort of community creativity thing going. There's a bunch of propositions as to how we can do it. We're obviously going to have to keep it really simple, but maybe we can sort of brainstorm that and get something going without a incredible amount of effort, and get other people to weigh in on it or whatever. If you're interested.
Yeah,
No,
we
I'm in.
Cool.
We kind of there's a channel that I started for it, and then kind of said, like, we're not sure where it's going to go. It's going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
And then obviously life and getting stuff out
A lot of stuff
kind of got in the
happening.
way. But yeah, we're trying to, like, even if the first one kind of like falls on its face a little bit, I think it'll be good for the next one. But like just some way we can all either contribute by writing some epic long community track or using the same key or tempo or something. Yeah,
Just to
we're
bring
gonna
it all
figure it
together.
out. We'll figure it
Yeah.
out. We haven't forgot about it. It's definitely, like, we think about it regularly. It's just we're figuring it out. I don't know if you've noticed this, but Bunn, and especially the Bunn and myself, we do like the details figured out as much as possible.
Yeah.
So
I like things to be tight.
yeah, he likes.
in terms of information and understanding and clarity. And
There's not much on a whim happening.
no,
right now.
there's no time for whims. Tyler Adams says 99.9 the crack, nothing but rock.
Oh,
Get what's
well
going on there?
played.
This is
Well
about
played.
Nickelback. He's a
Good
Nickelback
play.
fan. Tyler Adams,
It's all right.
big fan.
You guys can
I
all
think
like
this
what you like.
podcast may be the death of my light ring here. It is flickering all of a sudden.
Oh no. Well, folks, we need to get Steven a light ring.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it or not. Can you see it?
Are you going to go dark? Darkness Falls? Where are we at here?
I'll be okay. I think I'm just going to plug it in normally if that's all right. So I will be dark
No,
for a second.
That's fine.
Okay.
We like the mood.
Yeah. Because
Look
I
at my
take
basement.
bathroom breaks and stuff like that. Oh, you still look fabulous.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
But you're gonna put wall power into it.
yeah, I'm using USB right now, and it's being wacky.
Cool. Yeah, we're gonna take it up to 9 o'clock CT, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I think they're gonna unify daylight savings time here in our time zone. Like New York and Ontario is all gonna be just like no change in time.
Well, I think
Same time all year.
the whole continent should probably do that.
It would be less confusing. The only thing is
It was a
a
farming
lot of
thing.
people would have a lot of darkness at really inopportune points of the day.
I guess yeah, it depends when they do it. Like
Yeah.
do it when does it spring forward? No.
Yeah.
When do I
where,
want
where
it?
it's
I
like
don't know. I don't
dark a
give
little
shit.
bit more in the morning as opposed to getting dark early at night. That seems to have more of an impact on
I think
the fiscal fitness of society anyway.
Yeah. So you're saying it's probably better to stay lighter later.
Later.
Yeah, that's what
So-
I'm down for.
Seems like that's more important to finances.
At least to me it is.
spending.
So that's what I prefer. And I'm an American, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but what Americans want, it doesn't matter what other people want.
That's right. Let's get it straight.
Yep.
You know,
I'm very passive about it since I'm in Canada now.
that's right. You've become a very
Yeah, you're very chill.
you've become a
right now.
fence sitter. You're like, oh well, to eat.
Oh fuck, that's funny. And then you're over here raging.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
right.
contagious.
Yeah, from lamb to lion.
Maybe
lion
that's
to
it.
lamb.
I need to move to London too.
Bah.
Just move to London. We'll all move to London.
London's great.
chill.
There's a lot of heroin junkies there. So you got
You don't have to be one.
You don't have to be
Yeah,
one.
It's not a,
I
not
should,
a prerequisite.
it's not actually we shouldn't make
Hey
fun.
there, guy. You on the heroin? No. Move along.
Yeah. So if
It is a strange thing I don't encounter it that much. Well, we don't really get out of the house that much these days, but I would encounter it, but like at Tim Hortons, which is strange.
Yeah.
Like
They
I
like
want
those
donuts and heroin.
public restrooms.
What does a Canadian heroin addict sound and look like, I wonder?
Like all the rest of them. They're a little more polite,
Just
usually.
beat me to
Do you mind if I sit here?
Yeah. Yeah. Not joking.
It's true.
Yeah.
We played a show in Toronto, and we went to Pizza, which is, whatever. But
Yeah, you played at the Bovine, and you went to the Pizza, like kind of across the street.
across the street, yes.
Yeah, I know the one. Yeah, it's gnarly.
And like someone legit sat next to us and was like, "You cool with this?" Like, well, you already did it.
Yeah.
It's happening.
But I just want to let you know.
like, well, you're gonna get up if we say no?
But there was also the only place I've been to that you had to like get buzzed into the bathroom.
Yeah. Because
This
junkies.
is wild.
Yeah.
Is it legal there?
There is plenty of legal
gray
injection
area?
sites. Yeah. It's like, it's not legal per se, but
But you're not gonna get thrown in jail. For
you're
having
not
No.
going to
an
get
issue.
thrown in jail for being a junkie. You're going to get thrown in jail for trafficking.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a dealer, that's
Yeah.
that's where the problems are.
Interesting.
This took a turn.
Yeah.
Real life shit, man. That's what we're
Yeah.
about here on
Yeah,
Bandless.
it's very unfortunate. You wish that was not a thing that anyone ever had to deal with, because it's actually pretty tragic.
Yeah.
Of course.
But I don't know.
What
The
people
world-
don't realize.
The world is Metallica.
Yeah. What people don't realize, if it wasn't heroin, it
Very
would be
complex.
something else. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. It'd be something.
But it is 9:00 Central Time currently. I think we're going to sign it off. Does do any of you guys have anything that you'd like to share with all the folks? A thanks, a hello, I don't know, anything. Steven?
Oh well, I should thank you and Nick for having me on. Also, everyone that's commenting in the live stream here. If I weren't on here, I'd be on the stream hanging out either way. So
Yeah,
we
you're
say-
pretty good that way.
nice to be involved in general. But yeah, I don't know. I appreciate you fellas having me on. Hopefully, I can do it again sometime soon.
Oh, you're definitely going to be on again. Like, you're too funny and witty to not have on again. And like I said, you got a lot of insight, so it's good for people to hear this kind of stuff. So thank you for coming on and being part of
love
our small podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you guys in the chat, of
And
course.
before
And
Yeah,
shout
that's
out to our
right.
patrons
Before
again.
we fully shout out to our patrons, but first, this here is where you can follow up with Stephen, both his YouTube page, Gear Stuff and Things, as well as Close the Hatch, his band, which is a doom sludge desert rock hybrid with even some sort of more classic pop type of things sneaking in there. It's beautiful music, brutal heavy, but also beautiful. You have to, if you have a moment, check it out, because I think you'll be pretty surprised. And it's not because he's here. Like, I actually just like the music, but yeah, check that out. Check out his channel. And I'd like to thank all of our patrons and our new patrons, the people who have joined us today. Who is that? Weathered and Wise? I didn't
Development
see.
of a Void.
Development of a Void. Thank you very much
Absolutely. Thank you.
for getting on board with that. Nick and I, we pay for this software, which isn't like crazy expensive, but it's pretty expensive. We're going to pay for it anyway, but if people want to help out, that's great. Absolutely amazing. I put the link into our Patreon down there. Thank you very much for everyone with us. Thank you to everyone who showed up into the stream and participated. Thank you, Stephen, for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
And Nick or Stephen, any closing thoughts?
Peace and love.
No, I'm good. I enjoyed the hang, fellas.
Awesome. Good night, everyone. I'm gonna take care of ending the stream. Is it me?
Alrighty.
All right.
I'm gonna let you.